Are you a warrior or a peacemaker? If someone disrespected you or your family, would you stand your ground or simply walk away? Do you think being a warrior is all about strength or knowing when to choose peace? Do you stand up for your principles to the point where you could end up in a fight, a physical altercation? Or do you follow the turn the other cheek mentality? Now, of course, it's possible to be a bit of both. And I would even argue that it's a good thing to at least be capable of both. You could avoid conflict at all costs, turn the other cheek. But if you're ever forced into a physical altercation, that warrior spirit shows, it comes out, and people learn pretty quick that they push you too far. Sometimes we're taught to be one way or another as kids. We learned it from our parents, different conflict resolution styles. But sometimes it also comes naturally. And what about your kids or your future kids? Would you rather teach them to be polite and avoid conflict at all costs? Or would you prefer to teach your kids to stand up for themselves through your own actions, even if that means you occasionally display what can be seen as unflattering behavior, such as using foul language? I want to share a story with you. And this story is about two dads who almost got into a fist fight over something you honestly wouldn't believe. And truth be told, it wouldn't have been much of a fist fight because it was pretty clear which dad would probably end up on the losing end. Even though the one dad didn't say it, you could just tell by his body language and his confidence and basically the way he was holding himself, which is pretty important. I typically drive to the East Coast 3 times a year, so I spend a lot of time on the road. On my last trip, on the way back, I pulled off the highway to get gas, and I also went to McDonald's to grab a coffee and God knows what else. This was somewhere in between Kingston and Cornwall. I don't know what the occasion was, but there was a spot by the tables where the employees were putting out balloons, which were free to take. Free to the adults, free to the kids. And the kids in the store all seemed pretty excited. I was standing in a lineup. Now, I saw one family with 4 kids take most of the balloons. The kids didn't just take one. They all took at least 2. The brothers and sisters were fighting over the colors. The kids were aged from 5 to 10, I'd say. But what's funny about this is the family and the kids caught my attention even before this whole incident because of how loud they were being. It's McDonald's, okay? You don't expect people to be quiet. But they were standing on the benches, standing on the tables, throwing their fries, ketchup all over the place. Just no manners whatsoever. Something that would never fly when I was a kid. Anyways, the balloons were gone within seconds. One dad who was standing in a line with his daughter, I'd say about 5 years old, went over to grab one. His daughter was excited. It was actually very cute. But when he went to grab one, they were all gone. The one family with the kids took them all. The dad seemed nice, not confrontational, but he asked the family if one of the kids would mind giving up the balloons because they were meant for everybody. Makes sense. They had a bit of a back and forth, him and the other dad. But the dad whose daughter didn't get a balloon ended up calling the other guy a selfish name, incorporating the F word, and also said that this guy's family needs to learn respect. That's when the other dad threw it in his face that he swore in front of the kids like some sort of gotcha moment. Then the dad with the daughter responded right back, said he'd rather his kid hears him swear and learn to stand up for themselves. And I got to say that the guy had a point. His daughter was watching him the whole time, taking everything in. Now, it's easy for me to sit here and tell you what happened, but I'm trying to paint a picture for you. But you still won't quite understand the aura of the situation. The dad with multiple kids was cocky. He was rude. His kids were already picking up on his attitude. The man with the one daughter stood confidently and had something about him which usually only comes across in person. He had this presence about him that commanded respect, but he also gave it. Now, I would never promote violence or encourage someone to commit assault to handle matters. Violence is not the answer, okay? But what was typically a very natural balance of power is now off. And how would you have reacted if you were in that situation? Point 2. I was driving to work not too long ago, and there was a white truck with some construction tools in it, a sticker, and there was a construction trailer attached. There was 3 guys in it. They all seemed fairly large in stature. They clearly worked in the trades, okay? Now, I didn't see what happened, but I think they cut off some guy in a BMW who came up behind us pretty quick. Came up behind everybody. I saw the guy in the truck wave saying sorry or something, but the guy in the BMW slowed down and gave him the finger. But what's worse is he swerved a couple times into the truck as if to cut them off or something, like he was taunting them. The guys in the truck didn't even seem fazed by him at all. I'm trying to, again, to paint a picture for you. You got one guy in the BMW, clean cut, short hair, acting this way to three larger guys in the truck, longer hair, beards, used to manual labor. And, of course, the smaller guy in the BMW who's driving like a prick, now trying to show dominance on the road in the most pathetic way. Eventually, the guy in the BMW, he sped away, gave the finger again, and he sped his way. But in his mind, he won this whole thing because he's in front of them. And what also bugs me is that there's a huge segment of society which probably also sees him as the winner, the victor, in this pathetic battle, which hundreds of years ago would have just seemed so odd. Now, human nature being what it is, I'm sure there was all kinds of similar altercations back in the day. But imagine this was a couple hundred years ago. And instead of cars, everyone was on horses. Would that one solo guy act the same way? Well, of course he wouldn't. He'd be finished. Now he's got that car to speed off in, the protection of the metal around him, and he feels empowered. Again, he's a victor. Look at me. I showed them. Then I sped away. You can witness these types of things on the roads everywhere you go, all day long. We see this especially online today as well. The term keyboard warrior, especially in this video, is very fitting. Being a warrior doesn't mean you seek out conflict. And being a peacemaker doesn't mean you shy away from standing your ground. It's about finding that balance, knowing when to walk away and when to fight for what matters to you. In a world where it's way too easy to act out from behind the safety and security of a screen or inside a car, true strength is knowing when to show restraint and when to let that warrior spirit rise. Or is there even still room for that warrior spirit in this modern day society? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And listen, folks, thank you for paying attention to this. Until the next video, be safe out there, look after one another, and perhaps we will see you again.